Sustainability. It's a buzzword that everyone hears for sure, and it means fulfilling the needs of a current generation without compromising the needs of a future generation, ensuring a balance of growth, environmental care, and social well-being. For example, we hear every day on the news about clean water and sanitation, taking climate action, avoiding the use of plastics so as not to contaminate the ocean, and planting trees to protect our environment. Also, social equity is a big deal. Those are just a few, but you probably already know that. And either you buy into these actions and you do your best to provide sustainability, or perhaps you sort of lean in to help, or maybe you just think it's all silly and you live your life. We all fall somewhere on the spectrum of sustainability and how we live. In other words, we live so that we don't deplete natural resources needed for future generations to live and thrive. But this devotional is not about promoting any of the above because that's a hot topic, and people debate the validity of any or all of those issues. But we're going to look further into seeing what it means to sustain something. Sustainable means continual, viable, unceasing, imperishable, livable, renewable, supportable, unending, and worthwhile. That sounds like something that we might want to talk about here. To sustain is to provide a better hope for the future. So did you know that the Bible has a lot to say about being sustained? And unless we have sustainability practices in place in our lives, the lives of our children and their children are in jeopardy, and their futures might be compromised. Our lifestyle affects their quality of living. If we don't have sustainable practices in our lives, it may be one reason that we don't see our children thriving in theirs. Sustainability says we can only produce so many of our own resources and can only withstand so many depletions that we must change the way we live. And guess what the end hope is of sustainability? It's that the earth will last forever. There are 21 verses with the word sustain in them in the Bible, and we're going to look at many of them and learn the importance of being sustained so that future generations are sustained as well, so that we don't die out, so that growth continues and care is taking place. Life is thriving and resources are plenty. What a great word to look at this summer as kids are out of school, a new year will be starting soon, and there's so much to consider. And we're going to start in Nehemiah 9. It started with people confessing their sins, their wrongdoings, and in worshiping God, and they began blessing His name, stating that His position as Creator, as the one who set things in motion like the stars and the seas. They recognized that God was the giver of life and of everything, and so they worshiped. They noted He is righteous and that He saw their sufferings and led them through a great sea to dry ground, hurling those that pursued them into the deep. They remembered the pillar of cloud by day and the fire by night that led them where to go. They received when they got God's commandments for living from Moses, and how God fed them manna and provided water for them to drink and lands to possess. They confessed how they and their ancestors often did not obey and became arrogant and stiff-necked, and they rebelled. But God forgave in compassion and grace, abounding in love, and He never abandoned them, ever. He never withheld food or water, and in verse 21 it says, for 40 years He sustained them in the wilderness, and they lacked nothing. There's that word. In fact, they were given kingdoms and nations, children as numerous as the stars, and their children took possession of the land. Their houses were filled with good things, their groves with fruit trees, and they ate to the full and reveled in His goodness. In other words, God remained faithful and righteous and acted faithfully while they acted wickedly. If that's not a picture of sustainability, I don't know what is. Being sustained and cared for in the wilderness is the first picture we read about sustainability from His hand, as resources were definitely depleted. Only the kind of resources we're referring to are peace and rest, and these only come from His hand, not from Mother Earth. So the first key in this Devo series is to living a sustainable spiritual life is to recognize from where our resources come as we journey on this place called Earth, and that's from the hands of God. We acknowledge this and give thanks and worship Him, and that by doing that, we are showing our children the one from whom all blessings flow while we are being sustained.